What is going on, Colts Nation? He is Jamal, and I am Eric, your co-host of the Colts Cast. Hey, the Indianapolis Colts took down the Chicago Bears at home, 21-16. Bear down? More like Bears down, baby. Fucking joke. Jonathan Taylor led the way with 110 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. By the way, everyone, the Minnesota Vikings crushed the Houston Texans. Gotta love it. We love seeing the Texans lose because you guys are the worst fan base this year. So, hey, look, the Colts defense, 3 turnovers, 63 rushing yards allowed, 4 sacks. They showed up today. A lot to unpack here, Jamal. So where would you like to start?
Y'all know the drill. We're starting off hitting that like, subscribe button. Let us know you're here. Drop a comment below how you felt about the dub. Drop a like if you're excited for this first at-home win we got for the Colts. Finally glad to see it. Hey, I think we start with the defense, man. It was a good game for them. So let's talk about what they brought to the table today.
They brought everything to the table. Like I said, I mean, they did everything well. I felt like the run defense showed up today. I think it was like, 237 rushing yards in the first half against the Packers that we allowed, but I think it was below 50 for the first half, which was tremendous. I mean, given the pass and what's happened. The pressure was on today for Caleb Williams. I mean, you look at the box score and you're like, man, this dude threw for 363 yards. Man, he had a crazy day. 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Of course, got sacked 4 times. Really, we forced him to be that one-dimensional offense because, as you can see, we only allowed 63 rushing yards. I mean, DeAndre Swift gave us a little dud, 13 carries for 20 yards, didn't do anything. They had Khalil Herbert running a little bit in the fourth quarter, but still didn't really matter. We shut that thing down. So we forced Caleb Williams to beat us through the air. And, you know, a lot of times he did, but he made a lot of costly mistakes, or we just kind of capitalized because Latu came in with that strip sack. Baby, he got on the box score. He made an impact. It was a big game-changing play. I was calling for it when the drive started. I was like, Latu about to get something here. But really, yeah, it was phenomenal by this defense. I'm glad they stepped up. I'm glad Gus Bradley did something. I mean, he got these boys right. I know we had some injuries near the end with a few players. I saw Kwity Paye go down, Kenny Moore, and I got banged his hip against someone else's knee. But really, a lot of good here with the defense. Jalen Jones had a really good day. Had 2 picks, the second one being very athletic. Yeah. I would say probably the play of the day because he could have easily went out of bounds or just not even caught it at all. I think it was like a one-handed interception, if I remember correctly. I don't know. Phenomenal day.
Yeah, it really was. Like you said, really those turnovers were the key thing for us. As you mentioned, Jalen Jones, those interceptions were clutch. Of course, Latu with that strip sack. That's what we needed. That's what everybody needed. It was just a shift change there. And we talked about this during pregame. I said, the main thing we have to do is be able to shake up Caleb Williams. You have to shake him up and make him try to make these elusive plays like he did when he was in college. Well, the thing is, like we know, when you're in the league, you can't make these elusive plays because everyone is at that top tier level. So it's a lot harder to be that successful with it. So getting those 4 sacks, having him scrambling back and forth behind the, way 3, 4, 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage really helped us out because it allowed our guys to really get a chance to get a hand on him. Once they got a hands on him, so much better. But I mean, shout out to the run defense. That was just a great day, And of course, we want to see this improvement throughout the rest of the season, but just overall, great day for the run defense. When I see Caleb Williams, and you mentioned earlier about how many yards he had, but 52 passes, that's nuts. 52 for a game, that's wild. So when you throw that many, I would expect you to get some yards. So I'm not really pressed over that. I'm just excited that these guys held Swift to 20 yards. Johnson got in there for a little 30 boy. 63 rushing yards total. I'll take that any day of the week.
Yeah, Zaire Franklin, tackle leader today. Back to it. It's like we're going back to normal, man. EJ Speed was up there too. Nick Cross is sitting there. I mean, he's coming down and he's coming down in the box. He's making them tackles. I know he was the total tackles leader through week 2 last week. A lot of people were upset with that, and he probably shouldn't be the tackles leader, but when we posted that on the Colts cast, we're giving props to Nick Cross. I know people like to peel back the layers and look into the bad, but really it was just shout out to Nick Cross for finishing up, when they got to that second, third level of the defense. But I'm really worried about this defensive line. I mean, we're losing a lot. DeForest Buckner's out. Samson Mavukam's already out. Kwity Paye, don't know how long he's going to be out for. Hopefully he's okay, but that's probably the scariest part. Even though the depth pieces, I mean, they came and showed out today. Adetomo Adebawore had a sack. Taven Bryan had an early sack. It was really good too, so I like to see that. But I'm worried about this D line. Grover Stewart's probably like the only healthy starter left, so it's not great, but we'll see what happens in the next week. Got anything else on defense?
No, they just gotta. I mean, just be ready. Like I said, it's one game. The same way we would say, it's only one game if we had a bad game. It's only one game that we had a good game. So these guys have to just make sure that they get into the realm and getting back to honing it. Like you just mentioned, the old school way that they know from what we've seen over the years past. Just get to the ball, make a play when it matters, and don't get caught up on just being one game. Let's make this the norm. That's all.
Yeah. So to the offense. Oof. Now this was an interesting day, but I think run the damn ball is very apparent here. We can start with Jonathan Taylor. I mean, 23 carries, 110 yards, 2 touchdowns on the ground, averaged 4.8 yards per carry. Wasn't really used too much in the passing game. Had one big catch for 25 yards, but like Jonathan Taylor is the star of the show today. I really think. I mean, he looks like the best running back in the league. Like, from an efficiency standpoint, from just watching what he does. I mean, he's the best player on the team, hands down.
Without question.
But that cut he did on that touchdown run.
Dirty.
It's just different, man. Like, you can tell, like, this man's built different than a lot of other running backs in the league. I think that's the difference between average running back talent, top-tier running back talent. I mean, there was great blocks by Alec Pierce and Mo Cox on that run too. But, man, it's reminiscent of that play where Wentz handed it off to Taylor in that Patriots game to seal the deal with like 2 minutes left in the fourth. Just the cut he made to just make those linebackers with it. It's crazy. I can't explain it.
Yeah, y'all wanted to not pay him too, Eric. I remember that. I don't think people forget. Y'all said, "No, don't pay him. He don't want to practice. Don't pay him." Yeah.
Who's y'all?
We keep them receipts. Hey.
Who's y'all?
Nah, but for real though, JT, and those numbers could have been better. I was at the game, so I wasn't able to do a lot of replays. But I'm gonna tell you like this: I saw multiple times, and this is not a knock to Jonathan Taylor at all, but multiple times Braden Smith was just getting dog walked. And JT was getting hit in the backfield. And these are times where, and one of those was a horse collar. They should have called it, whatever. The refs weren't on.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, a lot of those plays, refs, they didn't call anything for us. But neither here nor there. But Braden Smith, again, I would have to go back and watch the full film to see how he did overall for the entire game. But there were some plays where he was just getting chewed up and spit out. And it was affecting Taylor because he was getting hit well behind the line of scrimmage or getting stopped when it was a potential 5, 6, 7 yard run. And we know that Braden Smith in that right side is where JT likes to run. I mean, he historically he's averaging close to 6 yards a carry running on that right side. So to see him get dog walk like that and get hit in the backfield was surprising to see.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it was just a bad game for Braden Smith. I'm not gonna put too much into it. Yeah. But let's talk about the low hanging fruit, man.
Go ahead.
Anthony Richardson, 10 for 20, another 50% completion rate game, 167 yards, 2 interceptions. I believe he almost had a fumble loss too, or they would have called that a pick or something. It was on that one where they called forward progress, but potentially 3 turnovers for him. Only took 1 sack. Anthony Richardson, I get it. He's super young. I know we talked about it last week. Like there's going to be growing pains. But this was one of his worst games, if not worse. He throws an interception in the end zone on that rollout. right when we could have put up some points, because I think it was 0-0. We really needed some points because our defense was balling out. Critical mistake. I think that was like hero ball. Like, you take the points, you don't want to force that throw. I think the worst thing you can do when it's tied 0-0 is just throw it away. And I mean throw it away to the other team for a turnover. So I just think points were hard to come by at the time. Second interception. Oh my goodness, just off balance overthrow, easy pick. I don't know, man. Like, at least on that one, he should have just ran it. Put fear into this defense with your legs. But I think he's trying too hard. He looks confused sometimes, whether to do one option or the other. I don't think he's firm on the stance on what he wants to do with that play. But like, I think we have to say it. I mean, the lows right now are officially higher than the highs, or lower than the highs, however you want to talk or phrase that. But y'all know what I mean. We've seen the layups are one of the hardest to hit. I mean, we saw a lot of times this game where the layups weren't hitting, but then we saw what, 2 40+ yard chunk plays? Like, that's crazy. The logo threes are there. Like, he missed Josh Downs on that easy out route when it was that 2-minute drill in the first half. It really looks like he's just using a lot of arm. I think you talked about it last pod, Jamal. Like, those mechanics, like, they got to be fixed, and we'll give them time. We'll give them time, but throwing starts with your feet, man. And if they're not set in the right spot, if you don't have the right stance, like, yeah, it's going to be inaccurate because you're throwing with just your arm. So I think that can be fixed. It can. I don't know if it will, but if it is in the future, he should be more consistent. But y'all talking about starting Joe Flacco, like, that would be going completely backwards. Yeah, I saw y'all. I saw y'all on X. I saw y'all popping off. We already decided to start a 22-year-old at quarterback. We can't go back on that. That's how you end up with a Bryce Young. So I think it would be detrimental to his development. I don't know. What would you see, Jamal?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're 100% right with everything you just said. I mean, I can just piggyback onto everything you said. I think that, of course, there is going to continue. There's going to continue to see issues with this. This is a very high functioning offense coming out of the mind of Shane Steichen. So this is one where Shane Steichen, realistically speaking, he has a bunch of different options going on for you in that passing game. You got to figure out what's best for you. And I guess now this question is Richardson prepared enough to be able to make these decisions on the fly, to go through these progressions and figure out, hey, what's next? I think that's kind of where we see some of those bad balls coming from, like you mentioned, where the mechanics get a little shaky, because at some point where you have to remember how you have to elude pressure, you have to stay in the pocket, you can't roll out, you can't do this, you have to wait for your guys to get a second to break away, but you have the arm to get the ball in the general vicinity, but you don't have the accuracy to get it exactly where it needs to be. I think that's where we kind of have to hone in on what's beneficial. Should we scale this offense down a little bit to a more straightforward way, or do we continue to let him be able to go through so many progressions, which every NFL quarterback should, of course, I'll say should be able to do, to then make the correct read? So I think that's kind of where it hangs for him, and just comfort. He has to get comfortable back there. We can rely on JT to do this work. We saw the numbers he put up, and I even said last week, I said, I think that if he gets a chance to play when we're up, it'll be a little different. Well, today wasn't quite that. And again, I know it was only one game, but we want to be able to see him be able to still thrive and make smart decisions at any given time. So I don't know. I think that is going to continue to be struggles. Obviously, we know that, and I fully agree. We don't need to put Joe Flacco in at any point. But I gotta say, like, I'm getting kind of tired of hearing people just ramble on about how Peyton broke the rookie record for interceptions. That's like, we're not comparing. That's not comparing apples to apples. That's not. And two, like, I mean, he said before he doesn't want to be labeled as a project quarterback. Yet people are still constantly saying project quarterback. And I think they're using it as a scapegoat piece. Listen, this dude is an adult. He's an adult who's playing in the NFL. He's going to get time to figure this out. But like, there has to be people actively coaching him on the sidelines. There have to be people coaching him in the film rooms. Everywhere you go, there has to be someone on your tail. Hey, he's teaching you, hey, this is what we need to be looking for. This is what you have to do, play in and play out. And I'm not saying he's not getting that. I'm not saying that by any means at all. What I'm saying is that there just has to be someone basically on your coattail developing you, especially when you have a lot of the gifts, but you don't have everything. But it's kind of like having all the ingredients to make a pizza, but you don't know what goes first. You don't know if the toppings goes first, the sauce goes first, the cheese goes first. So now let's get somebody in there and be like, hey, listen, my man, we're going to put this sauce in there. Then we're going to put the cheese. Then we're going to put the toppings. Then we're going to put this thing in the oven. And that's how you get the ball rolling.
I like it. I like it. Why don't you like the Peyton comparison for the
But,
rookie seasons?
Because the Colts were god awful when they got Peyton, and I don't want to compare. I don't want to sit here and say like just because Peyton broke the record for interceptions, like that's not a good thing to have. That's like saying, oh, this person's the greatest comeback quarterback of all time. That's not like a good stat. That's not a good like mantra to have behind you. Like I understand that Peyton had a rough 3-13 year that first year, or whatever the case is, and they turned it around. But like you can't just compare that. And also Peyton isn't the same quarterback. Peyton wasn't the same. Peyton, for one, played all his high school, he played all his college. He played again at a completely different level than what we saw, than what we have for sample size for Anthony Richardson. So I just don't think it's fair to sit here and say, well, hey, we're gonna say we don't necessarily care that you're throwing 2-3 picks a game because Peyton did it, and look where Peyton did. Peyton turned out to be XYZ. Well, you can't just say that for those kind of. I just don't think that's like the appropriate thing to say, in my humble opinion.
Well, I look at it as, hey, let's temper expectations down. Peyton Manning didn't have a great rookie year, and he put it all together after. So
yeah,
Andrew Luck's rookie year wasn't amazing either. So it's like Anthony Richardson is technically I mean, he doesn't have 16, 17 starts under his belt. So look, once he gets those game reps in, once he develops a little bit more, maybe there's a light at the end of the tunnel. That's how I look at it. Yeah, two completely different quarterbacks, different teams. So I agree, Jamal. I just loved Richardson's effort on the Trey Sermon touchdown.
That's what we needed. Yeah.
Most quarterbacks aren't coming behind you and pushing you into the end zone. I mean, they're just watching. But my man, I mean, one of the most
athletic, body right in there.
He's the most athletic quarterback of all time. And he's going to get in there. He's going to get them squats in. So showing all that strength. That's my QB.
Yeah, I mean, and it showed that the offensive line. I think the offensive line saw him hop in there, and they said, "Oh shoot, let's get in there too." And that's what pushed him across the goal line. So we'll take
my quarterback's in there. Look, Pittman came in, all them boys came in. So they said we're gonna get this dub, and I knew we were gonna get that dub after that touchdown. But yeah, like we were saying, Richardson only threw the ball 20 times. Passing game wasn't crazy. Alec Pierce led the team in receiving yards with 44 yards off one catch. Had that one big catch at the beginning of the game. That's what Alec Pierce does. Big chunk plays. It's how he's being used this year, and it's working. At least for him. I won't say for the team. Josh Downs returned with 3 catches, 22 yards. Pittman had 4 catches for 36 yards. It's a very quiet day for the receiving core. Donnie Mitchell didn't have a reception. Just wasn't a lot going on in the passing game. A lot of overthrow, not a lot, but a good bit of overthrows by Richardson. Things were not there in the passing game, and of course we lost in the time of possession game. So we got to be the worst in the league in total time of possession, right? I mean that.
Yeah. Without a doubt.
So it's just I don't want to say this offense was putrid today, but if just the passing game, again, still got to work on that. Still got to make the short intermediate game work for Richardson in this offense. Leaning on Jonathan Taylor is one thing. I just don't know. It'll be great if he can average 100 rushing yards a week. I just don't know if that's always going to happen, especially Richardson. I feel like we can get more out of him with his legs. I think he's just got to commit better. I don't know. I expect to see his rushing numbers should be a little better, just in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely want to see him use his legs a little bit more. And there were a couple of times where I personally felt like he probably could have taken a hit or two. Obviously, I know we don't want to see him getting hit, but there were some times where he could have probably run someone over and got those extra couple yards to get a first down. But he kind of either A, went out of bounds, or B, just absorbed the hit and kind of fell with it. So, but yeah, it is what it is. But I would like to see him definitely use those legs a little bit more instead of forcing the ball, especially if we know that it's like something he can get a first down on. You can scramble for 4 or 5 yards. Let's get that first down rather than trying to throw something 16 yards downfield that we don't know what's going to happen.
Pull a Justin Fields. Look, if
Yeah.
your first read ain't open, just take off.
Take off. Get in the year with 750 yards rushing.
Yeah, do something like that. Just don't get hit.
Yeah.
I don't know. We got the win. I don't think it was the best win, but we got it. I know Brian Mason was trying to give the game away at the end when he didn't have Anthony Good returning out the end zone, so they got a free timeout essentially for not for not returning that. So I was a little worried there. Outside of that, I thought the special teams were fine, but it's another week. I mean, we got the dub. The AFC South, it's still open, right? I mean, we saw the Texans. They got annihilated today. So love to see that. Like we said, we love to see that. But the Jaguars and the Titans are winless. So it's really early on in the season. I think Jaguars play today, right? Or tomorrow.
Or yeah, I think it's tomorrow.
They play sometime in the future. But they're winless. Texans just took a loss. Really, we just gotta keep pounding, man. Like keep it going. It's really early, like I said, but I think this division, it's still open. It's still open, and I think the potential is still there. We haven't even met that potential yet, so sky's the limit still, right?
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah, and that's all I got.
That's it, man. Great dub. Let's keep it moving. Got the Steelers next week, so we'll get ready for them, man. But
undefeated Steelers, all right?
Undefeated Steelers, that's right. Talk about Justin Fields. But dub is a dub. Ride this high for this week, and let's get back to business, man.
Yeah, we come home again. Lucas Oil Stadium, so they have to come here. I don't know. That defense looks sharp, as it always is, but we took them out last year. What's to say we can't do it again? I still think we have the better quarterback, but we'll see.
Yeah, we're gonna see.
Yeah, we'll find out. And that's going to be it for us, everyone. Thank you for listening to the Colts Cast. We are live on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or any platform you use to listen to podcasts. And we'll be back next time to give you some more Indianapolis Colts content. Take care.